Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. What I'd love to do today on this spectacular Sydney spring morning is to bring you a book and to discuss a book and to share some wisdom, some knowledge and some potential power that hopefully we can take and incorporate into our inventory of skills, knowledge and hopefully some usable action. The book that I've selected for today's episode is entitled The Battle for Your Brain, a book that was published on the 14th of March 2023 by an author who goes by the name of Nita Farahany. So let's see what we can learn, what we can take whilst enjoying watching these people on the water making the most of this spectacular morning. So this book, The Battle for Your Brain, feels like taking the front row seat to the future. A future that's already knocking. Nita Farahany, a renowned bioethicist, doesn't just speculate about brain chips, AI-driven thought detection, or neural surveillance. She shows us how they're already here and evolving at the speed of light. But this isn't science fiction, it's science fact. And the stakes are nothing less than our cognitive liberty. This book is both chilling and clarifying. It traces the rapid progress of neurotechnology devices and tools that can actually read, interpret, or even influence our thoughts, and raises some urgent questions about privacy, consent, and autonomy. What rights should we have over our own minds? What happens when corporations or governments can access our neural data? Farahany doesn't write like a doomsdayer. She's balanced, informed, and passionately committed to what we talk about here as human freedom. What she offers is a necessary wake-up call. Unless we act now, the very, very last private space, our own thoughts, could actually become public property, which is indeed a concern. So let's go for a short journey and see what we can glean and what we can learn, what we can take from this author and incorporate into our inventory of skills, knowledge, wisdom and potential power. So the first key message to come from this author is where we look at and discuss the thought that cognitive liberty must be a human right, and Farahany argues that just as we have freedom of speech and freedom of religion, we urgently need freedom of thought, the right to mental privacy, self-determination, and protection from unwanted brain surveillance. Because in a day and in an age where brain data can be harvested like any other digital footprint, this isn't a philosophical issue, it's a legal and civil rights imperative, is what this author is talking about. Neurotechnology, like it or not, is advancing faster than what the law is advancing. From brain sensing headbands in workplaces to devices that can detect early signs of depression or attention levels in real time, the tools are already being used, but there are virtually no legal safeguards in place to prevent their misuse. The law, sadly, is decades behind the technology, and the gap is where the danger lies. Another message to come from this author is where we're reminded that employers and governments are already, listen up, they're already using brain data. Some companies are using neurotech to monitor employees' attention, fatigue, or emotional states. While this may be framed as increasing productivity or safety, its risks become a tool of control, and Farahany warns that what's marketed as wellness tech can become surveillance tech overnight if we let it. Consent and autonomy are at risk is another key message to come from this author. What does it mean to consent to sharing brain data if the tech itself isn't fully understood in the first place? Farahany highlights that most people don't and can't grasp what's truly at stake when they argue to use a neuro device. The ethical frameworks we use for other forms of data don't hold up here. New standards must be built from the ground up. And the last key message to come from this author on this topic is where we are invited to act, because the window for action is closing, and it's closing very, very fast. One of the most sobering takeaways from this book is we still have a chance to shape this future, but that window is very, very narrow. If we wait until neurotechnology is fully embedded in everyday life, the damage to freedom and mental autonomy may be irreversible, is the message. Public awareness, legal reform, and ethical innovation must start now. So, in summary, this book, The Battle for Your Brain, is not a dystopian rant. It's a bold, brilliant, and deeply researched call to action. Nita Farahany makes it very, very clear that the most important battle of the 21st century may not be fought over land or resources, but more importantly, over our minds. And this book is gripping, sobering, and empowering, reminding us that the future isn't something we wait for, but it's something that we actually shape. So thank you once again for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5am Club, where I'm coming to you from the Ryde ferry terminal. And as you can see, it's peak hour with the ferries coming through on this spectacular, most beautiful spring morning. We've got the galahs singing in the background, a plane going overhead, and hopefully a start to another beautiful day. Wishing everybody all the very best, and I look forward to coming to you again from another place and with another message of empowerment. Take care, everybody. Yasas, and bye for now.